Todd, what are your thoughts on Nikki Haley's new book? Did we see these revelations coming?
Oh, Nikki Haley wants to be the next president of the United States after Donald Trump. This is a really fascinating thing that's happened. The book is pretty explosive. Not only does she defend President Trump, but she also calls him out for those big issues where they had differences as well. So she's trying to thread the needle here, as they say, inside the Beltway. Now, there are a couple of interesting things to point out in this book that the Washington Post got an advance copy of. First, I think it's worth remembering that the so-called swamp in Washington, D.C. is populated with a lot of rhinos, Republicans name only. So I'm not surprised to hear the news that the former Secretary of State, Rex Tillerson, and the former White House Chief of Staff, John Kelly, were actually colluding behind the president's back to try and thwart his agenda.
Yeah, it's really a fascinating picture that she paints of that going on. Talk about the way she distinguishes herself from the president. What issues is she looking to break away from him on?
So look, Nikki Haley is the child of immigrants coming here from India, and she certainly has a different perspective. That being said, she certainly called out the president for his handling of the Charlottesville, Virginia issue. When she was governor of South Carolina, that was a big issue, race relations in the state of South Carolina. So I'm not surprised to see her really separating herself from the president on that particular issue. For me, the bigger story is that she was really calling out the former Secretary of State and the former White House Chief of Staff. And I think she was absolutely correct. It is really beyond shocking that such high-level administration officials were working behind the scenes to stop the president's agenda. That is something that needs to be called out.
How do you think that might play out in D.C. Going forward this week, especially?
Well, look, I think it's a reminder that there are a lot of people in the so-called deep state who were trying to sabotage this president and his agenda. But beyond that, this serves as a great reminder for all of the gun-toting, Bible-clinging deplorables out there, a reminder that there really are people within the Republican Party who do not support this president's agenda. It's not necessarily President Trump the man. It's President Trump's agenda. Again, going back to this issue that you had the former Secretary of State, you had the former White House Chief of Staff trying to stop this president from moving the embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. That is a shocking thing, and it should serve as a wake-up call for folks. Understand this. There are people in Washington within the president's own party who want to take him down.
All right. And just to quickly highlight, I was not aware of that. So they were colluding, coming together to try and stop the moving of that embassy. Is that correct?
So those are the allegations that are in the book, as reported by the Washington Post, that among the things that they tried to do, Tillerson and Kelly, they tried to stop the president pulling out of the Paris Climate Accord. They tried to stop the president from getting rid of the nuclear agreement with Iran. And for me, the bombshell is that they tried to stop the president from moving the embassy in Israel to Jerusalem. That is all you need to know about those rhinos in the White House.
All right. Well, definitely sounds like an interesting book. Todd Starnes, thanks for your insights.